Children, we have been listening to the autobiography of Nelson Mandela. That Nelson Mandela was supposed to take oath as the first black president of South Africa. A large number of leaders, all from around the world, had gathered there to be the witness of the swearing-in ceremony of Nelson Mandela as the first black president. The inauguration took place in a big open building in Pretoria, where the first democratic non-racial government was to be installed. That day, Nelson Mandela was accompanied by his daughter Zanani. Accordingly, Mr. de Klerk was the first person who took oath as second deputy president, followed by Mr. Thabo Mbeki, who took the oath as first deputy president. Nelson Mandela sweared as the first black president of South Africa. He pledged to obey and uphold the constitution and to devote himself to the well-being of the people. He also promised to make the nation free from poverty, deprivation, suffering, and all sorts of discrimination. When Mandela had taken oath, South African jets displayed the military power. It also showed the loyalty of military to democracy. The highest military generals saluted him. He recounted that they would have arrested him many years before. It was followed by the playing of two national anthems. The whites sang Nkosi Sikelel, the old song, and the blacks sang Deestem, the new song, which marked the end of the ceremony. Let's continue reading from page number 21. In life, every man has twin obligations. Obligations to his family, to his parents, to his wife and children. And he has an obligation to his people, his community, his country. In a civil and human society, each man is able to fulfill those obligations according to his own inclinations and abilities. But in a country like South Africa, it was almost impossible for a man of my birth and color to fulfill both of those obligations. In South Africa, a man of color who attempted to live as a human being was punished and isolated. In South Africa, a man who tried to fulfill his duty to his people was inevitably ripped from his family and his home and was forced to live a life apart, a twilight existence of secrecy and rebellion. I did not in the beginning choose to place my people above my family, but in attempting to serve my people, I found that I was prevented from fulfilling my obligations as a son, a brother, a father, and a husband. Here, Mandela says that a man has to perform duty to his family, community, and country, which he did not see in his country before he pushed himself to fight for the blacks. A black man was punished if he tried to live like a human being and forced to live apart from his own people. So he was not allowed to perform his duties to his family. He continues, I was not born with a hunger to be free. I was born free in every way that I could know. Free to run in the fields near my mother's hut, free to swim in the clear stream that ran through my village, free to roast mealies under the stars and ride the broad backs of slow-moving bulls. As long as I obeyed my father and abided by the customs of my tribe, I was not troubled by the laws of man or God. It was only when I began to learn that my boyhood freedom was an illusion, when I discovered as a young man that my freedom had already been taken from me, that I began to hunger for it. At first, as a student, I wanted freedom only for myself. The transitory freedoms of being able to stay out at night, read what I pleased, and go where I chose. Later, as a young man in Johannesburg, I yearned for the basic and honorable freedoms of achieving my potential, of earning my keep, of marrying and having a family, the freedom not to be obstructed in a lawful life. But then I slowly saw that not only was I not free, but my brothers and sisters were not free. I saw that it was not just my freedom that was curtailed, but the freedom of everyone who looked like I did. That is when I joined the African National Congress, and that is when the hunger for my own freedom became the greater hunger for the freedom of my people. It was this desire for the freedom of my people to live their lives with dignity and self-respect that animated my life, that transformed a frightened young man into a bold one, that drove a law-abiding attorney to become a criminal, that turned family-loving husband into a man without a home, that forced a life-loving man to live like a monk. I am no more virtuous or self-sacrificing than the next man, but I found that I could not even enjoy the unlimited freedoms I was allowed when I knew my people were not free. Freedom is indivisible. The chains on every one of my people were the chains on all of them. The chains on all of my people were the chains on me. I knew that the oppressor must be liberated just as surely as the oppressed. A man who takes away another man's freedom is a prisoner of hatred. He is locked behind the bars of prejudice and narrow-mindedness. I am not truly free if I am taking away someone else's freedom, just as surely as I am not free when my freedom is taken from me. The oppressed and the oppressor alike are robbed of their humanity. So here Mandela says that as a kid he had a different meaning for being free, as he wandered in the fields and wanted to stay out at night. As he grew older, he wanted the freedom of livelihood for himself and his family. But soon he realized that such freedom was only an illusion. He realized that his brothers and sisters who looked at him were not free. So he joined African National Congress ANC. His hunger for freedom became great for the freedom of his people. He desired that everyone should be given the right to live his life with dignity and respect. He wanted the oppressor and the oppressed to be liberated, as no one is free if one is taking someone else's freedom. Only such feelings can bring true freedom for everyone. We have the word meanings here. Inclinations means natural tendencies of behavior. Inevitably meaning unavoidably. Illusion, something that appears to be real but not. Transitory, not permanent. Curtailed, reduce. Prejudiced, a strong dislike without any good reason.